So why does Jaylen Brown get blocked so much anyway? I'll look at that, the final play of that loss to the Sixers, and why we still have to be patient about where the Boston Celtics are. It's all right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Be ever ready. Recognize the city of champs. Boston, baby, we do what you can't. Locked on number 18, Tatum and Brown, J-team, step back. We gon' wet that and slay teams. Of course, the Celtics, who else could it be? Screaming like KG with the Larry O.B. Karalis above average, assessing the team status. Best daily pod, no cap, salary matching. Clutch like Bird the DJ, keep John on replay. Prime time, dapping up the truth on the sideline. Raining J's, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners. B.
Hey there, thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Remember, Locked On Celtics is free. It's available on all platforms, including YouTube. Every episode is available on LockedOnCeltics.com. I'm John Karalis. I am the beat writer covering the Boston Celtics for Boston Sports Journal. I'm also the author of a book called The Boston Celtics All-Time All-Stars, which on the YouTube channel you'll see right behind me. It's available on my website, signed copies for $30. Or wherever books are sold. I do thank you for making the show part of your daily routine. Later on, that P word, that dreaded P word, patience. But I have the one stat that will back up why we still, even though we're 31 games into a season, which is normally a big sample size, it is still not time to judge this team. Unfortunately, trust me, I wish it was. It's not. That's coming up. In the second segment, I'll look at that last play because I didn't like how demonstrative on the court Jaylen was, how that whole thing went down. So I looked at that final play. I also looked at Jaylen Brown and why he's getting blocked so much. And that is going to be my first segment here. I have visual accompaniment on Boston Sports Journal. So if you go to bostonsportsjournal.com, you'll see on the Celtics section there, Jaylen Brown is getting blocked a lot more, a sign that his legs are not all the way back. So basically, I'm looking at some damning statistics here. As far as, look, when you're getting blocked as much as Jaylen has recently, and I said this in yesterday's podcast, so this is kind of like a continuation of the stuff I was talking about yesterday, that Jaylen Brown is absolutely, my eyes were not deceiving me. He is getting blocked a lot more. In fact, he's been blocked 20 times all season, right? So he's played 17 games. Obviously, he had a bunch of missed games. 20 times he's been blocked this season. 10 of those blocks, half of the times he's been blocked, have been over the last 4 games since he's been back. 10 times all season has he been blocked within 5 feet of the rim. Half of those have come within the last 4 games. So very obviously, Jaylen Brown, for probably a variety of reasons, but the main reason is his legs clearly are not back yet. He has been getting blocked significantly more often. In 4 games, what's that? What's that increase? Whatever percentage increase. I briefly thought about doing math in my head there. And I don't know if you heard the screeching brakes in my head as I tried to stop myself because I was going to really get that wrong. It's been a significant increase. I'll just put it that way. People can comment about, if you can do the math in your head about what percentage increase that is, go for it. I cannot. But over the past 4 games, it's been obvious. And last night or after the Sixers game, he said, I don't know how to answer that question. I'm looking at the tape, and I don't think that it's that he doesn't know how to answer this question. I think it's that he doesn't want to answer this question because it comes off, I think, as an excuse. And to Jaylen's credit, to the Celtics' credit, this is something they've hung their hats on for the past couple seasons. Last season with COVID, even though Jaylen Brown said after the Sixers game, we had a lot of excuses that we used in this game, they don't like to go into the media and say, here are the reasons. Here are our excuses. They don't. And I will say, I get it, totally get it, because it's a no-win situation for these guys. They are in an absolute no-win situation because I go in there and I want to know answers. Tell me why. I see something with my eyes. I notice it. It's obvious. The numbers prove it. So what's going on? Why is this happening? And they can't win. He says, I don't know how to answer that question. I say something in response. It gets picked up and written about. And if he gives me the actual answer, I write about the response, and people in the comments say, well, those are excuses. No excuses. He can't win. He can't win. You can't explain things as a professional athlete because you can't win. This is why they give so many canned answers. Ime Udoka, is honest about his guys, and people want to kill him for being, calling his guys out too much in the media. Where last year people wanted Brad Stevens to be, call your team out, call your guys out. And now Ime is calling guys out, and people are like, no, not that way. It's different people, but that speaks to why you can't win. So Jaylen Brown doesn't want to say, hey, my legs aren't back yet. He doesn't want to say, hey man, this is my third game in 4 nights coming back off of an injury, which is a legitimate reason. And when in my writing, I look at he pulls these Euro steps and he's just getting no burst. He's not getting a big burst off the dribble. His first step is not as explosive. He's not playing when he does play off of 2 feet. He's not getting that same push forward. Like a lot of times earlier this season, he plays off 2 feet and you're much more powerful. You're much more in control off of 2 feet. And you can see guys kind of bouncing off of him earlier in the season. And this year they're hanging with him and they're blocking him. He's getting blocked from behind. He's getting blocked by guys that have no, like Mani Bielitsa blocked him. Like Bielitsa shouldn't be blocking Jaylen Brown's shot, but it happens. And it happened. And it's been happening a lot more recently. And so, yeah, I think in this game, in the Sixers game where he looked kind of lost and he was getting cut back door, I think that's almost like you go back to the Toronto game where he had that big performance against the Knicks in double overtime. Then he goes against Toronto a couple of days later and he just looks like absolute crap. And this is kind of like the same thing. I think he's just tired. His legs aren't there. And I don't think he can say my legs aren't there in the media afterwards, because then my follow-up would be, well, if your legs aren't there, why are you playing? And then he's got to answer that question. No-win situation. And I'm part of that. I'm part of why it's a no-win situation. But when there is no answer, I've got to dig and I've got to kind of guess at the answer. And so if you go to Boston Sports Journal and you see the videos, you can see a stark difference. Like he's getting into the lane, but he's got no lift. He's trying to like throw these kind of like reaching out and like flip them up. He's up faking a lot, trying to get guys up in the air. And that's great, but I think he's doing it because he's got no lift. So it's tough for Jaylen right now. And I think my conclusion from all of this is if he's got that little lift, maybe there's got to be a consideration to like dial back his minutes, or maybe there is no real way to dial back his minutes because of COVID. Maybe if this was a full roster, then the situation would be different. And the Celtics might not play. Maybe they wouldn't have played him on the back-to-back, but because they had to, because they didn't have the full complement of players, then you got no choice. You got to ride the guys that you have. This is such a weird time. And this plays into the stuff I'm going to talk about in the third segment. But basically, when we get into why is Jaylen Brown getting blocked so much, he's got no burst, he's got no legs. And hopefully over the course of the next few days, he can get some rest and get some of that burst back. Let's see what happens against the Cavaliers on a day off. Let's see what happens against Milwaukee after 2 days off, because that first game back against Milwaukee, he looked great. And then but he still got blocked 3 times, but then it just kind of like scuffled on down. Hopefully it's as simple as it's fatigue, but when your legs aren't there, it's something to watch for. We'll see. I'll talk about the last play of that game against the Sixers next. Maybe Jaylen Brown just needs some sleep. Maybe Jaylen Brown needs to download the Calm app, which is the #1 app for sleep and meditation. And they've teamed with LeBron James to help activate the power of sleep. And when it comes to athletes like Jaylen Brown and everybody else, we all know that mental fitness is especially important, just as important as physical fitness. Sleep, meditation, training your mind, that helps you become a champion version of yourself. You can train your mind like any other muscle in your body, but you don't have to be a world champion to learn how to train it. Calm can help you train your brain so you sleep better and reduce your stress and perform at your best. Sleep is so critically important, because I know when you get that full night's sleep, that restful sleep, you wake up in the morning, you're ready to take on that day. Any athlete will tell you good night's sleep is going to be one of the most valuable things that you can do for your body. LeBron says that. From the sound of rain falling on leaves to bedtime sleep stories, Calm puts me to sleep within minutes, which means I wake up ready for any challenge. That's LeBron James. So check them out for a limited time. Locked On Celtics listeners can go use Calm and get a 40% discount on a Calm premium subscription at Calm, C-A-L-M, calm.com/LockedOnNBA. Unlock content to help you focus, ease stress, sleep better. Calm.com/LockedOnNBA. That's calm.com/LockedOnNBA. If you're like me and you like hot sauce, then you need to check out cracksauce.com, CRAIC sauce.com. This is a locally made product here in Massachusetts by a Celtics season ticket holder. It is amazing. It's not just some big bottle of red stuff that tests how much heat you can take. It's not designed to torture you. It is designed to add some heat and some flavor to the dishes that you want. You can use it in exactly the same way. In fact, they do have just a regular bottle of hot stuff too, with a little extra love and, made in Massachusetts love, but it's versatile stuff. It's multidimensional stuff. It's not just going to be hot. It's going to be flavorful. So when you add it to, say, your chicken wings, you can pick one of the 4 flavors from hot to mild: golden pumpkin, 40 shades of green chili, Mill City red, Brian Burroughs curry. Obviously you can hear all of the different flavors that are involved there. So you want to put it on a sandwich. You want to put it in a soup. You want to put it in your eggs at breakfast. It's different. You can play around with it. Trust me, as a person, as an aficionado of some spice, I love the way this makes my food taste. I'm Greek. I cook. When I add this to my food, it gives it a kick, but it gives it some flavor. So go to cracksauce.com, CRAIC sauce.com. You're going to get 10% off with the promo code Locked On. It's cracksauce.com, CRAIC sauce.com with the promo code Locked On for 10% off. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Make Locked On NBA your second listen every day. This Wednesday, it's Jake Madison. We covered all the games. I'm recording the Locked On Celtics show after we did the Locked On NBA. So we've got all the games covered. The Lakers game, LeBron sprained his ankle, plenty to talk about there. And then our real or fake segment, the NBA COVID protocol, not the protocols, but the plan for signing G Leaguers is going to get people fired. Real or fake? We answer that question on Locked On NBA. So check it out wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. All right, the last play of that Sixers game was, meaningless in that the Celtics were down 3. I explained this on yesterday's podcast, but if you didn't check that out, the Celtics were down 3. Philly tends to foul when they're up 3 in this situation. You've got no timeouts. They want to put you on the line. So the Celtics decided they want to go for a home run play. That 3.9 seconds wasn't enough time to get the ball in, get fouled, make your free throws, foul again, and then inbound again to get a decent shot. And it's not really that much time. So they decided to go for the home run, Hail Mary, whatever you want to call it, type of play. The play is designed to get Jaylen Brown that touchdown pass. Enes Kanter is supposed to come up from the backcourt and set a pick somewhere, presumably on Tobias Harris, and spring Jaylen Brown. They do have Joel Embiid playing sort of a free safety back there, but Enes Kanter is supposed to come down and set a pick. We saw in that game, Jaylen was very demonstrative, clapping in, gesticulating and all that stuff. And Enes is coming back. Is like, no, this, no, that, no, this. First of all, I don't like how that went down. I don't like that that's how this game ended. I don't like that there was that much, between those two. Save it. Save that for the locker room. Save that for when you go back. All right. I know that Jaylen was upset, and I know that there was, some feeling that something got screwed up and all of that stuff, but save that. Like it's hard in the moment. You can express your displeasure in the moment, but let it go after a while. So don't do what you just did. So what happened on that last play? It's very obvious that Enes Kanter missed something, because he comes down. Now, I don't know if the timing was right. I'm looking at this. I'm just watching it over and over again as I talk. Enes doesn't screen anybody. That's the first thing. He doesn't screen anybody. And I think he thought he was supposed to screen for Matisse Thybulle, or screen Matisse Thybulle, who's playing kind of like the center field nobody, because Marcus Smart is inbounding. So Thybulle is kind of like in the middle. Joel Embiid holds Kanter, which is hard to see, but off frame you can see that he's holding Kanter. Kanter does miss. Jaylen Brown has a point. Ime Udoka said after the game that Jaylen was confused. That's not true. Jaylen has a point. He's supposed to, if looking at this, it's very clear that he was supposed to screen Jaylen's guy and he didn't. Now, was that going to be enough? Like, he probably should have come down and then subsequently screened for Peyton Pritchard's guy. But that, either way, Enes Kanter was kind of doing nothing in the middle of nowhere. Secondly, Enes Kanter played 40 minutes in this game, which probably exacerbated the issue. And thinking back on this, he matched Joel Embiid second for second. And maybe Ime Udoka's thinking is, look, if you're gonna run Joel Embiid into the ground, we'll run Enes Kanter into the ground, and that's fine, because the draining of their energy meter is going to be somewhat equal, and whatever, we'll deal with that. But I just feel like you could have pulled one of those, hey, let's just throw Bruno Fernando on him for a minute and see. And frankly, it couldn't have gone much worse. But Enes, I keep saying Enes Kanter. It's Enes Freedom. And look, that's his legal name. I apologize. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. Enes Freedom is the name. I'm sorry, I'll break that habit. But Enes comes down. I think there's some level of fatigue involved here, because he hasn't played 40 minutes in forever. There's no way. By the end of this, he must have been dying. Playing him that much was, I think, a mistake. And frankly, yes, he sets good picks, but either mix up the looks on Embiid, go small, a second guess. And this is a very, very second guess, very like Monday morning quarterback. And I'm sure Ime probably sits there and wonders some of this stuff too. But maybe a few possessions here or there just to throw a pest out there to disrupt his dribble, because Embiid wasn't being a bully. He wasn't going to the rim. And maybe that's because Cantor was out there and Enes Freedom was out there, and he's strong and can, be a deterrent in that sense. But why not throw somebody with active hands out there in a little bit more energy just for different spots to give Enes a little bit of a break, knowing that you want to go with him down the stretch? Maybe that would have changed. Maybe that wouldn't have created this situation. Maybe there could have been a couple more stops. I don't know. Maybe not. By that point, Embiid was on a roll. You kind of want to slow his roll a little bit, or throw somebody who's quick out there. It's hard to say. I just look at this final play, and I know that half the team is out, and maybe you would have had Grant in there, and Grant would have set some picks or something, like if it was different, or Al would have set those picks or something else. But it's very obvious that Enes missed a pick somewhere. Jaylen Brown has reason to be like, hey, what's going on there? Jaylen shouldn't be this demonstrative. It's a bad look. And then I second guess Ime Udoka for having played Cantor that much to put him in that position at the end in the first place. So just something I want to clear up from the prior game. Now let's move forward and look, I'm getting a ton of questions. I do a weekly chat on Boston Sports Journal where people submit questions, and every week people are talking about blow it up, blow it up, blow it up. You hear it all over the place. You just can't. I'll give you the stat next that proves why you can't. First, BetOnline has you covered this holiday season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. Football is heading through college bowl season, the professional football playoffs, NFL. BetOnline has you covered. They're your number one spot for all the sports action. So head on over to BetOnline on your computer, your mobile device. Use the promo code Locked On. You'll get a 50% welcome bonus. So whatever it is, basketball, football, NHL, boxing, your favorite Vegas casino games, if you use Locked On, you'll get a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. So don't wait to take advantage of that and all the other amazing offers available this season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. Do not wait. Take advantage of all those offers. BetOnline, where the game starts. Please gamble responsibly. Built Bar is here with amazing protein bars that are delicious, that are like candy bars, delicious and healthy, low in sugar, low in calories, low in net carbs, low in fat, high in protein. So if you have some, spread the joy this holiday season. Head on over to built.com. You're going to get all sorts of sales and stuff and special deals. They just had a factory second sale, which, maybe some that didn't pass muster for the final wrapping, but they're still good. They're still awesome. Maybe they look a little funny, but new flavors out there. There's the candy cane one that just dropped. People love Built Bars. They are the official Built Bar. They are the official protein bar of NASCAR, the official protein bar of the U.S. track and field team. So make them the official protein bar of you by going to built.com and using the promo code LOCKED15. They have a bunch of different styles. If you have a nut allergy, no problem. If you're on the keto diet, no problem. They're perfect for you. Locked15 is the promo code, 15% off every single time. Use it as often as you want at built.com. Hey, thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. How about making the Locked On Bets podcast with your boy Q and Lee Sterling your second listen? They've got you covered for great gambling advice. If you are throwing a few bucks down on whatever game you want or looking for a game, they've got you covered. So check out Locked On Bets wherever you get your podcast. All right. Here's one statistic where when you're looking at the Celtics, we're 31 games into the season. We're very well into the season. This is normally a time where you're heading into Christmas. You say, all right, who are these guys? Christmas is at the end of the week. You should have a sense of who these guys are. That's why we say the season really begins at Christmas, because it's not because it's just some arbitrary thing. You're almost halfway through the season, and we're starting to figure out who teams are. And you say, oh, well, who are the Celtics? We've made a determination on who the Celtics are. Well, yes, they've been a 500 team. They've struggled with consistency. That is all true. And maybe this is part of the problem, but the one thing that I sit here and I say, I just can't bring myself to say that this, whatever your determination now is the final determination, because the Celtics' most used lineup has played the second least minutes together in the NBA. When you put everybody's most used lineups up against one another, only the Lakers' most used lineup has played less than the Celtics' most used lineup. And here's the lineup. It's Horford, Schroeder, Tatum, Smart, and Rob. It's not even Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown is not even in the most used lineup. I cannot, in good conscience, in good faith, in fairness to you, to the Celtics, to me, make any final determination about this team when your most used lineup doesn't even include one of your two pillars. I can't do it. The most used lineup includes a guy who is almost certainly guaranteed to be gone, maybe even by the trade deadline, in Dennis Schroeder. A second guy in Al Horford that was only brought back because they needed to dump Kemba Walker, and who knows what his future is. As much as I like having Al Horford back, and as important as he is to the team and in the locker room, business is business, and I'm not saying that he's guaranteed to be here beyond this season or beyond next season. Is he part of the long-term plan? No, he's not. You could even, half of you probably want to make the argument that Smart's not even part of the long-term plan. But Tatum and Brown, this is supposed to be the season of figuring out what they are, who they are, what do they do, how good can they be. At this point, 31 games into the season, the most used lineup does not include Jaylen Brown. And we're going to start making determinations. And I can hear you saying right now, John, that's the point. We can't even have Jaylen Brown in the most used lineups. Well, yeah, but you have in the past. You have in the past. He's missed time, but he's been in the most used lineups. So here we sit, heading into a game against the Cleveland Cavaliers, which I don't know who's going to be on that team, who's in, who's out, if they're even going to play, depending on, like, we could wake up in the morning and Celtics could have 3 more guys in protocols and this game's postponed. Actually, I wouldn't mind that. I think the Celtics could use a couple of days off. But anyway, you look at where they are even now, there's still so much that they haven't discovered about themselves. You owe it to Ime Udoka to figure this stuff out, to Tatum and Brown to figure out, can they actually play together without that piece, without that Kemba, without that Kyrie, without that connective tissue between them? Can they figure that out? They seem to be figuring that out. I think they're playing better together. You got to give them more time. And it's not the time that you thought that they would get. You think it would be more, that or we should know by now. But this is, you know what this is? This is Return of the Jedi. This is the Imperial fleet with the fully operational Death Star setting the trap. And here's Lando saying, that would be me in this scenario. You got to give Han more time. And Han Solo and Princess Leia and Chewbacca are on Endor trying to bring down that shield. That would be the Celtics. And if they can bring down that shield, then they can go in and we can see if they can actually destroy the Death Star. We can see if they can actually do it. But we got to give them more time. As much as it looks like this is the end, as much as this looks like the fleet is getting destroyed, as much as this, as dire as this looks, this is a situation where we got to give them more time. That most used lineup hasn't even played 100 minutes together. Every other team, 28 teams in the league, their most used lineups have played more than 100 minutes together, including, by the way, the Dallas Mavericks with Kristaps Porzingis, who has been just decimated by injuries. Kristaps Porzingis has played enough where he's in a lineup that's gotten more minutes than the Celtics' most used lineup. That's mind-blowing to me. Porzingis, it feels like he's never played this season, but he's in a lineup that's used more than what the Celtics' most used lineup is. Got to give it more time. You don't have to give me any more time. I'm wrapping up the show. I am done. Next show comes post Cavs, which I'm assuming is going to be played. At this point, no reason to assume it's not, unless we wake up in the morning to more positive tests or more people in COVID protocols. So we'll see. If not, we'll pivot, we'll adjust, because I'm still here for you Monday through Friday, giving you 5 shows this week, leading up into Christmas. And then it's Christmas time. So happy holidays to everybody. If you're celebrating Christmas, then hope you get your shopping done soon. I hope, you know what? Subscribe. Give a gift to yourself. Subscribe to the podcast. Subscribe to the YouTube page. You can see me in my glorious beard, which is growing bigger and bigger. I haven't trimmed this one. I haven't let this thing grow in this long for a while. I kind of fought growing it in because there's just so much gray. I think I'm just starting to embrace it. The salt and pepper is just, I'm embracing the salt and pepper. That's who I am. I'm a salt and pepper beard guy now. So that's what you get. Look, how can you pass up that kind of YouTube analysis? That kind of YouTube. That's a YouTube moment, and you're missing it. So subscribe. If you are a subscriber, please share the podcast. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network.